Our first witness will be introduced by Congressman Godmer.
Thank you, Chairman Cleaver, for affording me the opportunity to introduce Jared Maples, the Director of the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. And thank you, Chairwoman Waters, for your leadership to help combat domestic terror. Prior to joining Homeland Security, Director Maples spent more than a decade at the Central Intelligence Agency in several leadership roles, and previously worked at the Pentagon in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. He leads an office on the front lines of the effort to protect New Jersey residents from a range of threats, and especially threats against our state's diverse religious communities. According to the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security annual reporting, homegrown violent extremists inspired by ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other terrorists remain the #1 threat to New Jersey. And in recent years, his office has ranked white supremacists as one of the highest threats as well. In recognition of his extraordinary leadership against domestic terrorists, white supremacists, anti-Semites, and other homegrown terrorists, the Anti-Defamation League of New Jersey and New York and New Jersey awarded Director Maples with its 2018 ADL Making a Difference Award, noting, quote, "Director Maples has made great strides in connecting communities of faith with each other and with law enforcement, bridging gaps in communication before emergency situations happen so that the New Jersey community can work together instead of individually before calamity strikes." On many occasions, unfortunately far too many, including just after the attack in Jersey City and in all the counties that I represent in my district, we have stood together and worked closely together to make sure that our first responders and our religious institutions, our synagogues, our churches, our mosques, and all communities have what they need to protect the state and all of our residents against the next terrorist attack. We are very, very lucky to benefit from his expertise and leadership, and I look forward to hearing from him today on this issue that affects all Americans, Democrats and Republicans, and I'm very, very grateful that you're here today. Thank you. Director Maples, I've proposed bipartisan legislation called the FASTER Act to help law enforcement freeze the assets of ISIS-inspired lone wolf terrorists and other extremists on our soil, to prevent these funds from being used to carry out another attack by friends, family, or unknown accomplices operating in a small cell. It also calls for a national homegrown terrorism incident clearinghouse for law enforcement to collect and share information on incidents to help investigate and thwart future attacks. Director, given your experience in New Jersey, do you believe that establishing a national clearinghouse for incidents of homegrown and domestic terrorism would help federal, state, and local governments and the private sector collect, share, and mine data to help identify patterns?
Thank you, Congressman, and I also want to thank you for your comments at the beginning and your partnership and leadership in this area. It's been vital to our efforts in New Jersey.
Thank you, sir.
I do think so. I think, as I just mentioned to the gentleman from Texas, we do think we have a great model, and the more we can do a clearinghouse and remove stovepipes and eliminate those threads that may not be being connected amongst federal, state, local entities, the better and safer we'll be. Obviously mindful within the rights of the citizenry and our visitors here, but we want to make sure that we connect those dots, and in doing something like a clearinghouse is definitely an effective way to do that.
Thank you. In recent years, your office has determined that homegrown violent extremists inspired by foreign terrorist organizations such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda remain the highest threat to New Jersey. In 2017, our state's one-of-a-kind suspicious activity reporting, as we were just talking about, SAR program, helped lead to the arrest of a New Jersey man planning to help build and detonate a pressure cooker bomb in New York on behalf of ISIS. How does financial information, do you think, such as suspicious wire transfers or large cash transactions, play a part in NJ's SARS program, and are there gaps when it comes to gathering this information that could help lead to an arrest or prevent a potential terrorist attack?
So one, it is effective. It's a fantastic case example, I think, of this happening and working in real time. As far as the financial pieces go, we do get reports on those, and as the gentleman from Texas also mentioned, there is a large variety of financial suspicious activity reports throughout the country and the world. I think we can better tie into those and make clear articulations as why those are suspicious activities, and that can help our state system in making sure that we're getting that out there to local financial institutions, but then also our communities. That's that connection point that may help us head off another incident.
Speaking of new trends and threats, from 2013 to 2017, terrorists carried out 25 known vehicle ramming attacks in North America and Western Europe, resulting in 156 fatalities and 790 injuries. This includes the Halloween 2017 terrorist attack in Lower Manhattan, which killed 8 people, including my constituent Darren Drake of New Milford, New Jersey. Since that tragic day, I've worked closely with the Drake family to stop terror truck attacks and recently reintroduced the bipartisan Darren Drake Act, H.R. 4942, with Congressman Fitzpatrick to ensure rental companies report suspicious behavior at every point of sale. Director, do we see domestic and homegrown terrorists increasingly resort to terror trucks attacks in public space, and how can we stay ahead of this particular threat?
It's a fantastic point, and yes, we do see a direct nexus. We're starting to see domestic groups, and I would also mention, Mr. Salim, in the work of the ADL, we partner with the ADL and multiple groups throughout the country, FBI, et cetera, in determining the nexus. We see a clear nexus of domestic terrorism groups starting to look towards foreign terrorism organizations for methodologies, TTPs, tactics, and practices, and what we're trying to observe. Mass gathering attacks, vehicle-borne attacks, using knives, they're seeing that those are effective, and you're starting to see an online presence in some other areas that we know of that they're talking about using those tactics here in America.
Thank you. Mr. Salim, I want to recognize the ADL for years of sounding the alarm on the threat of violent anti-Semitism and attacks on religious groups. We recently experienced, as you know, the horrific act of domestic terrorism targeting the Jewish community in Jersey City. We know the assailants had been planning for months, acquired supplies, and practiced at a firing range in the days before the shooting. Do you believe that there was any information that could have tipped off law enforcement that the couple was planning an attack? How can we find this sort of information out going forward?
Congressman, thank you for that question, and thank you for acknowledging both the award and the close cooperation between ADL and the New Jersey Homeland Security. The way that radicalization and recruitment and mobilization, like we saw play out in Jersey City, has been playing out in recent years, has continued to evolve. ADL believes that there can be more done to prevent and intervene in the cycle of radicalization and recruitment. Fundamentally, better data drives better policy and better security. So the ability for federal, state, local, and non-governmental entities to collect information, to get better reporting on suspicious activity and a range of other factors can lead to more comprehensive security procedures. And also, it's our belief that we need a comprehensive set of solutions that include mental health, social service, education providers, not limited solely to law enforcement, but in partnership and in concert with law enforcement prevention services.
Thank you. I yield back.